Hi everybody, welcome to another video, and today is all about testing the brand new ORWO NC500 vs Kodak 7219.
So here it is, our first roll of ORWO stock. It's very interesting the way it comes. So this is the emulsion number 6064E. It's roll 21-3. It's 100 feet daylight spool, 16 millimeter acetate base, single perf, daylight spool. We got 400 footers as well that we're going to be shooting. And this kind of roll thing is very interesting because we got rolls that were very, very similar, but not the same, not in sequence. So they're not shipping in sequence, which is interesting. So this is the back side of the new ORWO stock. This is the emulsion side. It is very green. Very, very green, which is interesting. Very interesting. But the emulsion, you can see that the anti-halation coating is not very thick. So it's interesting. Different way of doing things. It looks like black and white stock, except black and white stock is, more kind of dark purple.
First shot is going to be a silhouette shot. I want to shoot against a bright sky to see how the film stock deals with those situations, high dynamic range stuff, because that's kind of where I'm worried about the stock, is can it be overdriven. So we're shooting the stock at 320. Yeah, 320. And the idea is that we know the stock is 400 native, but we want to see if we can push it a little bit to see if pushing it kind of helps reduce the grain a little bit. It's not that much of a difference between 400 and 320. And we're shooting 7219 500T at the same 320. So it's going to be a direct A-B comparison between the new stock, the 400 ISO NC500 and 7219. When we got the film back from the lab, we noticed something very interesting. It was extremely contrasty and wobbly. If you look really closely at the perforations and the frames, you can see they are moving a lot more than they should be. This is not a camera issue. This is actually related to the film stock itself. It is the way the film is actually cut and perforated that's the problem. However, the shot doesn't look that bad. Okay, so one thing I've noticed, for better or worse, is that I've been changing magazines back and forward from the 7219 to the NC500, and every time I put the NC500 in, it takes me like 3 or 4 tries of putting it on the camera before it'll actually pick up the loop properly, before it'll do the pull down claw properly. Very weird. I've seen this before at black and white stock, and I don't know if it's just, I definitely have a worn pull down claw on my camera, and I know that. I don't know if it's that or what's going on. My penetration is kind of weak on this camera too, because I've been trying to tuning it for quietness because it was really loud for a long time. So possibly that could be one of the issues. So I just put the magazine on the camera, the NC500, here we go, listen. Right, so right away it doesn't run smooth at all. Take it off, put it back on again. Still doesn't run smooth.
A few moments later.
All right, so that I put it on and off the camera like 3 or 4 times, and now it runs smooth. So weird. Once we got the jamming issue out of the way, we started comparing 7219 to the brand new NC500, and we're going to do some A-B comparisons right now to show you what it looks like. Immediately you notice the NC500 is substantially more grainy. You will also notice the stability, which I talked about earlier, and how the stability is very bad on the NC500. Here is a side-by-side still frame showing the NC500 on the left and the 7219 on the right. You can see the grain right away and how much more contrast the NC500 has. We're going to be looking at some charts now. This is the 7219 chart and the NC500 chart. These were both scanned exactly at the same time on the same exact machine with slightly different setting. So wrapping up kind of the end of the day, we're doing this interesting shot through the branches here and into the sunlight to try to get some sun directly hitting the lens and into the film plane and see how the reflection works and stuff like that, because it doesn't have an anti-halation coating like standard Kodak film does. So it's kind of interesting to see what that looks like, and I like the idea of the sun coming directly in, so we're going to take a look at that shot right now. So now we're going to be showing you full frame scenes, and this is where things kind of fall apart for me. Even the 72-19 with the 85 filter doesn't look very good. It's not really representing the sun very well. But once you get to the NC500 with the 85, you will notice that it's really just kind of brownish and muddy. We unfortunately didn't shoot the scene without the 85. That was my bad. But I wanted to see what the 85 kind of looked like in these situations. And the 85 filter just does not work very well with the ORWO. It seems to be kind of a little more balanced towards daylight. Here's another 85 shot. Again, just too red. Very difficult to get that red out of it. Here's a shot that does not have the 85 filter. The sun's kind of setting, and we're going to see a chart here in a second. And this is kind of what the chart looks like normally rated, and then we went one stop up to show what the chart looks like a tiny bit overexposed. This is with the 85 filter uncorrected. Here's a night shot, the lens wide open, just to see what we can get. 72-19, and now we're going to flip to the NC500, and you can see the NC500 does actually have quite a bit of latitude actually in the darker areas, so that's kind of a good thing. But again, it has a lot more contrast, So the last bit of our day here is in the garage, and what we're doing is a exposure test. So we're going to go up through the entire range, and and it's going to be great actually, because we want to see the full dynamic range of the film stock. So we're doing the NC500 and the 500T, last shot of the day. We turned on the 2K for it, so we had a lot of light, and we went through the entire range, rating it at 320 again. So now we're going to show some over and under exposing. We're going to start with 72-19 because this is kind of our, base stock, and we're rating it at 320, which means that when we're normally exposing it, it's still kind of overexposing it. And you'll notice that when we hit the one under, it kind of looks a little more normal than it does at our properly exposed, which you can see right here. So color's good, it's clean, it's smooth, there's no problems with it at all. It looks just like 72-19 normally looks. Now we're going to switch to the ORWO, and you can immediately see pulsing in the image. You see that? The whole image is kind of pulsing. And that's one of the things that we've been noticing about the stock so far, is that it does have a weird emulsion issue that's not consistent. And so that pulsing we see throughout, and the other thing we've noticed is these black dots everywhere when underexposed, where you can see them a little bit more. So that's a little disconcerting too. Is that like the end of the roll? I just don't know what it is. I've never seen anything like it outside of Remjet not coming off. At 3 stops over here, you can see very clearly that it is really not very good at overexpose. We are not even anywhere near the results we're getting on 72-19, of course. Here are some final thoughts about this new stock. I think that there's a lot of issues with it. It is going to need more examination. We have a lot of film here. We can do more testing, but it's going to need to be pushed a lot harder, I think. I think we're going to have to rate it to like 200 ISO to try to push past some of it. I also want to see if I can process some of it as E6, because it may work really good as a reversal stock. So that's another thing we're going to be testing in the future. So I really appreciate you watching this video. I know it was quick and it was down and dirty, and it just gave you some samples of what we've seen for our first test with the brand new NC500. We are going to have some new tests coming up here very shortly, trying to go over some of the other benefits of this new stock when we actually can find them for you. So until then, thanks for watching.